Peg Burns' Gospel Nonviolence curriculum materials called our Golden Thread. This is a material that continues from the early church on killing, the writers and theologians and synods and church orders. So this piece of it is a standalone if you want it to be. I think it's important for any Christian to know what the letters of St. Paul are, the names and approximate years when they're written, which ones are earlier, which ones are later. So that's all that this material is. A box of tiles. The tiles have either the names of the letters of St. Paul or the dates and an answer card. So because this is something that most people, adults don't know, or kids, we provide the card, and they simply look up the answer on the card and put it in place, and repetition of doing that will help them to memorize. And so I put this in randomly, the names down randomly, and over time I would then put them in order. Right now I'm just matching dates. So 1 Timothy is 65 to 80. It was written in about 65 to 80. Colossians, just finding Colossians, 61 to 63. 1 Corinthians, 57, and the only tiles are 56 to 57. And 2 Thessalonians, 50 to 51. Okay, so a couple of things, right? So if I wanted to, I could immediately just do the best of putting these in their order now. 1 Thessalonians, 2 Thessalonians. The next would be Corinthians. Timothy is after Colossians. So this helps me to begin to build the order and the dates. So what we notice is there's a range of dates on when any of these early church, the epistles, gospels, early church writings are. There's always a range of what different scholars, how different scholars would place the different times. So we just do the best we can with that and know that that is a fact of life. Repetition leads to memorization. And this, it helps so that when you hear a reading, you have a sense, was this early in Paul's life or later in Paul's life? And as time goes on, you understand the implications of that time frame. So this material then can be added to this paperwork connected to the Gospels and the writers and the church orders. So here we have basically the control or the answer. So what you're doing is some self-teaching with movable pieces. We'll put this box up here. This portion is about Jesus, right? That Jesus came. After Jesus came, Paul was the first writer, and along with the time of the epistles, again, there's variation, but we know Paul wrote Gospels. Paul wrote epistles before some of the Gospels were written. So again, we use movable pieces to help us with this. So the easiest thing is to do the Gospels. So we know that during this portion is made wider here, so that time that Paul was writing, because there's so many, is spread out. And if you look at the answer, it's easy to help you memorize 1 and 2 Thessalonians being lined up like that. They were the first ones. It sticks out in your mind. It's easy to remember. Easy to see that Timothy's 1st and 2nd and Titus were the later ones. So already, just by looking at it, you're beginning to have some memorization of the content. The Gospels, Mark, even though the Bibles have Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, we think Mark was written earlier, then Matthew, then Luke, and John a little bit later than that. So you can see the material is just manipulatives. The tiles actually could be a prerequisite. I actually have the small movable pieces for the epistles. And I'm just looking and finding the answers. The Philippians is way down here. Timothy, 1 Timothy, Colossians, Galatians. So you see how this material works. The green pieces are church orders. First Clement, Didache, Apostle of Barnabas, Epistle of Barnabas, the Didache, First Clement. Again, moving, even for an adult, moving the manipulation of the materials helps with memory. Arnobius is late. So, unlike this, I don't know if you can see the materials line. Helps for memorization, helps to, as you read the thought and the words of the documents, you get a sense again of the clarity and the gradual loss of clarity. One of another handwork for the children is to copy out the quotes. I suggest a light box with a lining card underneath, maybe doing this in colored pen, and they can even, when they finish the substantial book, they could sew it by small drill holes, and then a needle with something like dental floss or heavy thread. And that makes a real nice piece of work to hang on to for the rest of your life. Church orders, Christian writers before Constantine, the letters of Paul, the Gospels.